Apple's what we call it, but he's the gatekeeper, and he watches characters when they come in. If they're inebriated, he'll pull them out, that type of thing. But he's had cases. We had a mother one time come, and she had a 5-year-old. She bought the tickets, and she brought the 5-year-old to the gate, and he was laying on the ground screaming. He wasn't going, and she smacked him and said, "You're going in because I bought the ticket." He made them both leave. He said, "We don't want you here."
Oh my!
We don't want that kind of.
Sure, yeah, that's sad.
We try to leave it up to parents, and most parents are pretty good at it.
Welcome to Creepalachia. I'm so pumped for another haunted house episode, and this one is one I've been waiting all month to talk about. I'm joined by Ron Miller with Miller's Nightmare Haunted Farm. How are you doing, sir?
I'm okay. Thank you.
So go ahead, give me some backstory on you, where you grew up, what'd you do for a living before this, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, I'm still doing a living, I guess. I grew up in West Virginia. I tell people our family's like 5 or 6 generations in Greenbrier County, so I have a long history there. Live on a small farm there. Have a wife and 3 kids live there. They're all now growing, and fortunately, 2 of them live still in Greenbrier County, which is very, very unusual in Southern West Virginia at this time. My daughter's in Cincinnati. She works there as a doctor, but love West Virginia, love the hills, been involved in lots of things in West Virginia.
Yeah. So the early days, what did you mentioned to me off camera about, writing a blog and different things
right.
like that. So.
Well, I came back to West Virginia. I had been to seminary, finished seminary, came back to West Virginia. We were in we've done a wide variety of things. My wife and I, my wife's a nurse, we actually ran food concessions. We traveled fairs and festivals with food concessions for a while. I've pastored churches for years. I was the circuit clerk in Greenbrier County for a term, decided not to do it again. Then I was the state representative. I represented Greenbrier, Monroe, Summers, and Fayette County in the West Virginia State Senate for 8 years. Went to work in the governor's office for a year or so on agricultural work.
Oh, how cool! So, what's it like being in the legislature? Is it difficult to get things to pass, or like what's the skill set that it takes to survive?
Well, I don't know anymore. I don't survive there anymore. But
right,
I've been involved in the legislature for a long time. I used to lobby some for counties and things. You have to be able to work with people. Generally, in the past, you worked, you compromised, you could work out issues, work differences. Now it's pretty much it's kind of a war zone now between different groups, and it's not fun. It used to be a fun place to work because you knew you could accomplish something. Now I'm not sure you feel like you accomplished much. You just want to survive.
That makes sense. That's a big reason, because I said, well, I'm going to do this show and we're not going to talk politics because it never, you
don't win with it. Let me tell you.
It doesn't seem to end well. But that's such a cool backstory. So eventually you decided, what year was it you thought, like, you know what, we have a farm and it would be really cool to scare the crap out of some people.
And that's a long story. We actually started in 2002. I had come out of the circuit clerk's office and I was doing some lobby work, and I was pastoring churches, a couple of churches, but I always wanted to, I grew up in the farm community. My family ran a John Deere dealership. So I always wanted to get back to the farm, do something on the farm. I was looking for a way to make a farm profitable. What could we do? What could we raise? And you raise a few cows. I have a small farm, raise a few cows, raise a few pigs or chickens or whatever, but it wasn't really profitable. And I started following corn mazes in the Midwest. And so I decided, my wife and I had taken a trip down to Huntington area, and there was a corn maze down there, Winfield area at the time. We went down there, and then I decided I can do this in Greenbrier County. So I built the first corn maze in Greenbrier County. We built about an 8-acre corn maze. And then, right at the middle of the season, we started in August, and come middle of October, I said, it'd be kind of fun to just haunt this thing and just put characters in it and see what happens. Well, that was the most successful part of our corn maze. Folks come from all over to go through this corn, walk through the corn. Our friends quit answering the phone about September after that, because we were always getting volunteers to dress up and get in. We used the soccer team, and we used the PTA at Frankfurt Elementary, called CEA at that time. Used that group. We used whatever groups we could find to come work.
Oh, cool.
And
I say that does get difficult. How many people do you usually have?
Well, you mean by characters?
Yeah.
Well, we started out at that time. We were lucky if we had 25, and they were mostly volunteers. Presently, we probably employ over 100 people.
Oh, wow.
And they're not volunteers. We pay people now.
Eventually, he was like, well, I got to, give them a few shekels and figure it out.
Yeah. We've had people that started back when we did the corn maze. And then we did that 5 years and stopped because the bears put us out of business. They ate up all our corn. Mm-hmm. And we set out a few years, worked the carnival circuits and things for a while, but came back to it because my son, Berkeley, who develops most of what we do now, he's kind of the general manager of that, wanted to do it so badly, enjoyed it so much in his high school years. So we came back and rebuilt 10 years ago. So this is our 11th year of operation.
Oh, wow.
Site.
How old is he now, Berkeley?
He's 34. I have to stop and think. No, maybe he's 36. They're 2 years apart. I have to add them up.
So the process of making a corn maze, do you just mow down some lines, or how do you figure out what the map's going to be?
We weren't that smart when we started. We let the corn grow and then decided to go in and chop it. And that was the dumbest thing I'd ever done in my life. We would spend hours chopping corn in the heat. And I said, there's got to be a better way. So after that, we started mowing it, and we would come up with a path. We'd use a GPS, come up with a path and mow the path. Now we don't corn maze so much. We have corn, but we don't corn maze it. We have a path and path through it. But we found that when we were just a corn maze haunt, people get frustrated because they couldn't get out. We'd have to cut off paths because they get stuck, and then they'd punch my actors, and it just got to the point that it was just easier to make it where they make a path through the corn.
Right. That's great. How long is it? Do you have like a mileage or?
I don't now. The part we use now, we plant only about, at that point we'd gotten up to 10 acres of corn planting, and that probably was a few miles by the time we did pass. But now with the haunt, we have so many aspects of the haunt. There's only about 2 acres of corn. And we have a path that's pretty clear, even though it's dark and has some divots off of it. It's pretty clear to get through because we want to keep people moving. We want places where actors work. And we have several actors in the corn. But we've expanded so much from the corn now from what we do. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buildings or something like that now that they go through. So
when did you start? How do you figure out how much to charge?
Well, that's always been an issue for us. We hate to overcharge. We're a family-oriented event. We have a lot of families come every year. Sometimes we have people in Greenbrier County on a weekend. We have some folks that have come probably 3 weekends where we're open. So we don't want to overcharge. We want to keep those folks coming. So we base it on what our costs are, and we try to break even and pay the help. And I tell people I haven't made any money at it. I just simply provide the land and keep working all the time. But we have one full-time, one son's full-time at that. And then I have another son that works in it who gets paid some. And then we pay all the help that comes.
Awesome. How big is your farm in total?
We have 2 parts of the farm. The part that we started, and initially this started at our house, and we have 52 acres there. It started there, but we couldn't get parking in there and everything. So when we started back with the new haunt, we moved, we kept parking at the house, and we used a bus to transform a mile down the road to the second farm, which is 80 acres. And that's what we designed. And that's where we presently are. We've designed. Now we've moved all the parking over there because we couldn't handle transporting everybody.
Right.
That's a story in itself. We bought a bus to transport, broke down the first night, had to rent vans after that for first year, and then bought wagons and Holdeman wagons and pulled them back and forth.
You probably drove it around for like 3 weeks. Like, yeah, the bus is good.
That's right. Brought the bus out of Charleston, drove it home, had a few groups up for parties, rode the bus over, called it the night bus, and it worked great. First night we ran it, took it to fill up the fuel, and it wouldn't start the next morning. Hasn't run since. So,
wow. Oh, it's still not running.
No, it still doesn't run. We use it for a lot of things. It was a movie theater for a while on the haunt, and then it became an escape room on the haunt, and And the last 2 years it's been the DJ booth and my office on the haunt, and this year I think it's going to be security on the haunt, and we've used it for a lot of things, but it doesn't move. We have to pull it wherever it goes.
That's great. How many people would you say you all get every year? Do you kind of keep count? Or?
We do. Roughly, we have a little less than 11,000 people come through in October generally. So,
oh, wow. How many days are you open?
Just Fridays and Saturdays in October. And we did last year, last weekend in September. We never opened Halloween because we found people got mean Halloween, and then our actors wanted to be with their families too. So we try never to open Halloween.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, about 8 to 10 days.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
Awesome. All right. So, you start to see, is there a moment where you open the maze up and then you started bringing in the haunt aspect? Is there a moment where you notice like, hey, this is becoming a thing?
It really was. We found that when we run the corn maze. The first 4 years the corn maze ran, we had groups, school groups, church groups, other groups come up just for spend the day at the haunt or at the corn. But it always was the most popular with a haunted attraction. And that was we did the last 2 days of the month or last 4 days of the month or so. And that was always very popular. And we were amazed we could see 300 people come. We thought that was tremendous. So when we closed it down and took the time off and then decided to come back, we decided to come back only as a haunted attraction, not a corn maze. And it has since expanded, and that's where we focus. That's why my son enjoyed. He likes to design it. We did a period there, and he still does Christmas lights for the state fair. They do a Christmas light show, and he does their light show for them. We did a period where we did lights at our farm at Christmas during the period between the corn maze shutting and the haunt opening. They played the music, they ran the music, and people would sit out in front of our house, and you have to realize we're in the middle of nowhere. And I had to open up a field because I was afraid somebody was going to get killed on the road. So he likes to develop the lights and he likes to develop all that. So that started, and that's how it started. Started out as corn, haunting only the corn. And then I came up with an idea, let's add a little haunted house to it. A small one. I'm thinking a little porch and maybe a container, that you build wood. My son thinks big. We built a 40 by 100 manor house at that point and filled it with stuff. And I said, man, I got to quit mentioning things. So I told him our food had always been in our trailers, which we were getting ready to sell. I said, we need a little food building. So we now have, I think, a 60-foot long food building, 30 by 60 with an upstairs in it for supplies and offices and things. And
wow.
And then, anytime I suggest something, he builds. And let me tell you, he builds. Our next building, I think, was the Bloodshed, which has an upstairs and downstairs. You slide down into a basement in it with a body shed in the basement. And then we built I think the very next building was the Witch's Hut, plus the expansion of the food building and the escape rooms. Mm-hmm. Built a Witch's Hut. To build that, he wanted to put a pond in. So we had to build a pond. So we built a pond, cut the trees, built a pond, put the Witch's Hut in the middle of the pond. Then you had to get a way to get to it. So we built a swinging bridge into the Witch's Hut and then
naturally.
Yeah. And then he wanted the path to be different, so we bought a bus, and they had to place the big school bus in the place, and you go under the school bus on a path and through the school bus as you come out, so the path crisscross, gives us more room and small acreage. So we had that put in. And
where did he learn this stuff? From you?
Not for me.
Okay.
he watched, he visits other haunts. He drugged me along. I'm not a big haunt guy. If I don't go through them, they torture me when I go through it because here comes corporate. Let's get him.
Right.
So I try not to go in anymore when I have to. But he goes to other haunts and watches what they do. He went up to, there's a haunt in Maryland that, in fact, I got drugged to this year with him because he needed me to help haul some equipment back. And he talks to those folks. He goes, there's a place called Transworld they just came back from. And they learn a lot there at Transworld. He always takes a crew out with him.
Yeah, Ashley with Fright Nights was here, and she was telling me about Transworld.
They, I think, ran into each other at Transworld this year too. We usually buy a lot of equipment there. We buy a lot of makeup there. We buy some props there. We make a lot of our own props. We do. We do buy some animatronics. That's the word.
Yep.
Props, but we make a lot of our own stuff. Our latest endeavor, Berkeley decided that we build a lot. And he decided, well, it'd be better if we cut our own lumber and milled our own lumber. So we bought a sawmill 2 years ago. And in fact, I'm glad to be here today because I've been helping with sawmill the last few days, hauling lumber back in. I drive the skid steer. I don't do much more than that, but it takes time. But we bought a sawmill, and last year was our biggest set. We built a 20 by 40 chapel of the unknown, all from lumber from our own farm. We cut the trees, built the timber, milled the timber, cut the beams. You have to have pews in a chapel. Built the chapel from wood on our farm.
Wow.
They built all of that. So it's all built. The only thing it isn't from our farm on that is the metal roof. He wanted to do lap siding, and I convinced him we just couldn't keep doing. So
That's amazing. So the majority of the structures are from the farm.
they and now particularly everything now is pretty much we're milling timber now. There's a new endeavor going in this year. Every year we add new things, and this year there appears to be a village that's going to appear, and that village is coming from timber. We were cutting timber yesterday, and then we mill it. We've already milled up a lot of hardwood.
Now, when you say village, like multiple structures, or?
It will be. I'm not sure what he has in mind. I'm afraid to ask because when I visualize something small, it becomes something big.
Yeah.
There will be a new merchandise center going in. We sell a lot of merchandise. There'll be a new merchandise center going in, and the DJ booth's going to be on top of it. It'll be a second story DJ booth. We run music the whole time and calling numbers. And so that'll be on top of the merchandise booth. It'll have open sides all around it so you can see what's going on in the whole grounds.
So you'll have like a DJ dressed up,
Well, and we don't necessarily dress up. I'm usually work as a DJ a lot of times.
Oh, cool.
I try to get out of that as much as I can, but the DJ job keeps music playing and announce the ticket numbers that are going in. We do it by ticket and fast passes. People want to get in faster, buy a fast pass. So we'll announce those when it's their turn to go. But the DJ keeps things flowing. And then sometimes we'll have just for the fun of the evening. We haven't done it the last couple of years because I couldn't see the crowd because I was in the bus. But we'd have dances going on. We'd call out dancing, and people want to dance, they can dance, and we judge that, and they get a free corn dog or something. We do games. We have a hatchet throw and an arrow shoot and a corn cannon shooting cannon that shoots corn at a target. And,
oh, wow.
We've had head ball, which was a basketball with severed heads that you shoot to a hoop, and trying to take some of the other games. We've got a variety of games we've done there.
That's fun. So when you build a haunted structure, I mean, do you put plumbing in it? Like, how sound is this?
Oh,
thing?
yeah, they're very sound. They're well built. And it varies what it is. The body shed, for instance, I wouldn't be afraid to go, or the bloodshed, I wouldn't be afraid to go in it if there was an apocalypse somewhere, because we'd never built a building like that. We built it out of blocks up from the ground up and then on top of it. And we poured all the blocks with concrete because we thought that's what you had to do. So all of our blocks, it's like a rock solid building. I mean, it's so they're built very sturdily. The manor house has metal siding on it. It's like a big metal building, but the front has a false front out of wood. We built a new machine shed area and makeup area, and that has plumbing in it. Mm-hmm. Even though we don't have water there, we have to haul our water in. We haven't activated the well. It's easier for us to haul water from. But the food building, we just finished a major renovation this past summer to comply with fire regulations and all that. We put in a sprinkler system and a Ansel system and have a variety of foods we do there. Because that was our business. We know food business.
Yeah. Who regulates haunted houses in this state?
No one really regulates the house. The fire marshal regulates fire policies. We're under the Department of Agriculture because we are an agri-entertainment industry. We developed it because of agriculture. We push agriculture there. So we get inspected by the local fire department. The health department comes out and inspects all the food operations. We follow certain standards because of insurance, everything's fire retardant. We don't put anything in that. We were actually, we had a TV reporter come through from Charleston area, and he said, I believe this is the safest place I've ever walked through. We're very careful about it.
I mean, yeah, you'd have to be, because I mean, it have to be sound for security purposes.
Yes.
People being there, walking through.
Yeah,
you don't want stuff to fall over.
and this year we even went further. We emphasize the fact that we are a family operation, and it's all family that works pretty much in it, and others that we hire outside. But we also emphasize that we want safety for families to come. Now, we always have issues. So this year we actually hired the sheriff's department to come up and spend evenings with us. So we paid the local sheriff's department for a deputy to come out and spend the night. You can rent that as security as you see them work on highways and things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they come up and they'll stay with us for the evening, and that it takes care of a lot of problems. We don't, there are always people that we don't sell alcohol or anything of that sort, because the road we live on is a very dangerous road. But we have people that will have too much to drink, and we've had to escort them out. We've had to leave. We've had to send them away. But the deputy helped in that in big ways.
Good deal. It sounds like a haunted field of dreams. Like you was mentioning the location.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Kind of describe where the farm is and how far from quote unquote civilization.
It's funny you say that. I remember when we ran the corn maze years ago, we had a gentleman one night, we were doing a night walk, and he drove up from Wyoming County. He'd come up there and he told me it was scarier getting here than just going through the walk just through the corn. He said it was scary getting here. We are we're 4 miles off the highway, and it is a single lane road. It's a scary road to get there, drop offs over the side and that type of thing. But people have found it, and they just, they make the trip. It's kind of bumper to bumper coming in at night and bumper to bumper going out as they leave. Our parking lot is in the fields. We probably have now 5 acres of parking, which big problem is we're filling up our parking lots because they come at specific joint times. Or not specific, but we're just there a few hours, so they're there for that.
Sure.
So it is difficult. People have to, they have to put it on their GPS, or they follow signs. We do put signs. We've had people change our signs every now and then, but generally it's a trip in.
That's part of the fun, like you mentioned. Yeah. It's like, because you think, well, I better open something near the interstate because you want to get that exit traffic and, stuff like that. But I think really it matters the quality of the experience is going to.
I think you're right. We have folks come from as far away as Raleigh and Asheville, North Carolina. They'll come up, Roanoke, Virginia, and a lot of those folks come every year. And they come because they have a good time, and they do like being out. Long term, we have some other property we rent and things. Long term, we've talked about building yurts and things like that for people to have a whole weekend they could spend out in the country like that. But we haven't gotten there yet. I'm getting old.
Sure. Yeah, one terrifying structure at a time.
That's right. That's right.
That's so fun. All right, so. Kind of walk me through the additions throughout the years. So we do the maze the first 4 years, and then you start to drift toward the haunted side of things. Right.
We did the maze. We shut it down because of the beer, and then we got into our food business, and then I got involved in other things. My wife's involved in other things. When we opened back up, my son kept saying, Berkeley, who's the general manager, kept saying, it'd be nice to get back to the haunt. He said, I enjoyed that as a kid. He said, I think we need to do that. So we started with just, we put the corn at the second farm. We built about 10 acres of corn over there. And then we would park all the cars at the first farm and then transport them. And we had our food trailers sitting there. Well, that kept growing. And then we decided we'd go to the second farm and put the food trailers and put the turkey booth and put some infrastructure there for electrics and that electric tickets and all that. And still do the corn there. And then we decided to add the haunted house, and we built that. And then we built the body shed. the corn always was there. There was always corn. The patch kept getting a little smaller because we have the forest that you go through. We have big sections of forest you go through. I have to run through in my mind how you come in now. You come through, you get your ticket, and when your number is called, you come in and you walk through an entrance area path. They built some entrance areas there, and I can't remember if we got pictures of those or not. But anyway, you go in and you go through the forest, where we have some encampments and some characters in the forest, and then you come to the Chapel of the Unknown, and we have people working the Chapel of the Unknown. And then you go to a crypt that you walk through a crypt, and what you're viewing is a picture of last year's promotion. If you see that,
oh yeah. I'm gonna show it on the screen here.
Yeah. But you walk through the crypt, which is a totally black and walls slant. You can't, when you go through it, and you come out of the crypt into another field in the forest, and then through the forest, you come in the opening, go across a swinging bridge across the pond. And we have a character actually works in the pond that comes up out of the water in the pond.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
And then you go through a shanty there that looks like something out of a New Orleans or a Louisiana swamp. It's a shanty, a witch's hat, a red light coming up through the floor, the whole works. And then you go through it and you come into the corn. You go under the bus, and then you go to the manor house. And the manor house, like I said, it's 100-foot long, 40-foot wide. It has a vortex tunnel. It has some animatronics in it. It has
what's a vortex tunnel?
A vortex. It's the last thing you go through in it. It is a spinning tunnel, a black light, and you go through the tunnel, and you just lose balance because you're walking. You're not circling, but the tunnel's circling around you with the black lights and everything, and it just gets terribly disoriented. It makes me car sick.
Oh yeah, those tear me up.
It does. But you leave it and go out and step another step into the bloodshed, and you go through a maze in it too, and then down into a slide into a basement, dark basement. You slide down into the basement with a huge slide into the basement. And
cool.
There's body bags and there's characters in the basement. And then from there out into the corn again. And in the corn, you encounter all kinds of creatures, scarecrows that come after you, creatures in the corn. And then you come back to the bus again, to another part of the bus, and there you meet the chainsaw crew. And I never know what they're going to do. And then from there you come back out. So it takes a while to go through all that. Depends on how fast you move.
What would be the average time, would you say?
Probably 45 minutes or so. Some people do it faster. There's some that don't slow down. They'll run over top of everybody else to get out. And then there's some that are in there forever because they're savoring everything they come across. So, the actors get there. They get there probably start about 4:30, 5 o'clock. We start making up. We do all our own makeup, and we have like 6 people that do makeup. And then,
that's a lot of people.
It is. They'll also act. Some of them will be actors.
I saw the makeup and it looks really good. I was very surprised how good all the characters look in that amount of time.
They've done well putting them together. We get some of the people who want to work get very upset with us sometimes. We don't allow them just to bring in their own costume. We want to approve costumes that we approve, and we'll spend anywhere from $400 to $800 on a mask. I mean, we buy a good mask. We make a lot of costumes, do a lot of the spray makeup and that type of thing. So, you get your actors. One of the big things that people enjoy before we open every night, about 7 o'clock, about the time we're getting ready for the gate, we'll have what we call a creature parade. And, people are milling around outside and you're getting ready, they're getting something to eat, they're playing a few games. And then the music will start and all the creatures will come out on a certain song. And then we'll do the Star Spangled Banner and then let the bodies hit the floor as the song comes on.
Nice.
And they pick their people who they're going to get when they come in. people running under tables. That's where I'm going to get sued sometimes. Right to a building, but the creatures come down through the crowd. It just all of them come out, and you get 80 to 100 monsters coming after you. It's kind of frightening.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, on that, is there some kind of how does the insurance work with this? I imagine the liability insurance is a task on its own.
It is. We have riders for everything, and our insurance agent actually is one of our clients. He comes out, but he checks us, I think, when he comes to make sure we're following the rules. But liability is we have to carry insurance for liability for accidents, of course. We carry insurance for food. We carry insurance for the hayride. You get a hayride back and forth. There's insurance on that. So there's a lot of riders that go into it.
Yeah, it's not just, all right, build something in a field, let people show up, charge money.
I mean, you could do that. That's kind of how we start with the corn, I guess.
Right.
But believe me, after a while, it becomes a business. And we work year round. We'll build sets. It'll take 2 months to build a set, and you're going to spend 10 minutes in the set. We redo the walls in the manor house every other year. We'll redo the whole wall set. These are all movable plywood panels that we built that we take down and put back up in different designs so that you can go through in a different way. And we started with plywood. Plywood went up. It was like $25 a sheet. When we started building plywood walls, it went to $80 a sheet. So you can imagine how much money's tied up in walls. But we removed the plan. We have another building out to the side that's our makeup shed and a machine shed. And we store panels in there sometimes in the summer as they're redoing the inside. They'll take them down and redo the inside of the building. So about every other year, we totally redo the inside of the manor house.
Wow. Did you build bathrooms or do you have porta potties?
We use porta johns. We've toyed the idea of putting this type of facility in, but that many people through that period of time and trying to keep them clean, we'd have to have, it'd be a task. And so we do porta johns. We contract with a local company that does that.
Yeah. And that's easy that way too. You're like, okay, we're going to have this many people. Yeah. You tell us where you want it, That's right. And we run porta johns, and we have hand sanitizing units there with it and all that. And the local fellow does a good job with it. So that butcher, he's been doing it for a long time for us, and he takes care of cleaning them every Saturday. Every Sunday he's back pumping them out what's been from the Saturday before, that night before, and keeps them clean. Yeah, that works out good. So the food trucks, are you all cooking food yourself?
Yes.
Or is there vendors that you work with?
We no longer use trucks. We use building now.
Okay.
But we do everything ourselves except for we have a lady from here in the Beckley area that brings candy apples, chocolate candy apples she designs and makes, and they're a big hit. People love those. So she sets up in the tent and sells out generally when she sets up. But we do, because of our background, we ran some buildings at the state fair, so we have some background in that. My brother's in that business too. He travels all over the East Coast.
Still does? Still
does. He's in Florida right now working. But we do, in the building, we offer our pizza. That was a thing we'd started when we were in the Carnival. We have our own pizza dough we make. We hand toss our pizza. So we sell a lot of pizza. Dill pickle's been our second most popular pizza we sell, which I'm not real fond of, but a lot of people love it. So we sell a lot of dill pickle pizza. We do ribbon fries, which are you see at fairs and things where they fry their whole potato that's fried. We do ribbon fries, French fries. Pizza. We do steak sandwiches, hamburgers, corn dogs. We hand dip our own corn dog. We have our own mix.
Ooh.
We hand dip our corn dogs. We do lemonade, butter beer, which is
Harry Potter.
We developed when we used to in the corn maze. We did some butter beer, so everybody wants the butter beer. It's not one of my favorites either, but people like it. A lot of hot chocolate, coffee. I'm trying to think what other food donuts. We do donuts and funnel cakes.
Homemade donuts?
We do.
Wow.
So we do all those foods, and then we're looking at adding again, agriculturally, we're talking about adding things that promote agriculture in our area. We do West Virginia steer beef. We do grass-fed beef that we buy locally and make smash burgers out of. But we're looking at adding Italian sausage. We don't do now. We used to do on our food trailers, but we're toying with raising our own pigs and doing our own Italian sausage. So there's some people that prepare it well.
Legit. So the sawmill, does that run all year, or is it like
it's a portable sawmill? And we actually this winter we built a shed to put it in, but we cut trees on our farm, and then we select what we cut, where we build, the areas we clear. We take that wood, and then he cuts it into lumber and beams. The chapel, which is just remarkable, the beams is all open beam. That was all hemlock and pine, southern pine from our farm that he was able to mill down and take and build these open beam chapel.
So when you say, like, you didn't start a lumber company, you just did it. Okay, you just did it.
No, I don't want to start anything else. We've had some people wanted to mill for them, and we had a friend recently. He milled a hearth for them or a piece for their fireplace. They had a tree on their own farm. We do a little bit of that for friends, and we've had a lot of people ask us, "Can we bring?" And we don't want to get into the
that'd be a lot.
Oh, it would be. And we just right now, Berkeley's primary interest is the haunt. He works the haunt all the time, and I don't want another business. I've got the farm. I run the farm all summer. We do our own hay and that type of thing.
So it's a farm.
It is.
Okay.
It is. We cut hay at the haunt farm where the parking lots are and the fields. We cut that hay, and that's used primarily as props during we'll use them as walls and things. And then after the season, I have another farmer, because I don't have any cattle I feed anymore. We have another farmer that buys that hay at a pretty reduced rate. I sell it to him, and he takes it off the farm and uses it to feed his place.
That was my question. Like, how do hay hay? Like you got hay, and then you go to the hay vendor, or like.
Well, people know if you have hay, they want to, and hay is a really valuable crop for folks. The problem with people that do hay, and this is not have to do with haunt, it just has to do with the farming business.
Oh yeah,
I can't make a profit off of hay unless I charge a fortune for it, and I won't charge a farmer. It probably costs me $40 to bale round bales of hay or better. And I'm not going to charge that to the guy selling trying to feed his cows. So I lose money on every bale of hay I bale. We have to use it for other purposes.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
So does Berkeley spend I'm going to spend from April to September building stuff, and then,
he starts in December, actually.
Oh, really?
He will start planning in November. He'll start looking and planning and talking to the key employees we've had or people who worked with us. He'll usually have a breakfast. He didn't have it this year because of time, but he'll have a breakfast with some of these key people, and they'll discuss what worked and what didn't work, what we should do. But he'll start usually in December building on things, working on things, planning things, drawing them. And then this winter, we spent most of the winter building, and even in the cold, building the lumber shed for the sawmill, but also cutting timber for this village we're going to build. And today, in fact, he called me on the way down here. He would have been with me today, but it's not raining, so they're trying to cut some trees in an area that's muddy. They're going to cut some pines and hemlock because he needs some softwoods for structures for these new buildings are going in. So they're going to be cutting those today.
Oh, cool. So when he maps it out, does he literally measure like, okay, well, there's 16-inch centers, so we got to this many boards?
He does. He knows when he cuts a log, he knows exactly how many logs he's going to get out or boards he's getting out, and he's figuring out what he needs that he puts it up. And so he's planning out ahead. He's trying to how much softwood we need, how much hardwood. We have a lot of hardwood cut right now. We don't need as much hardwood as we do the softwood, but.
How awesome. And so you mentioned merch. What kind of merch do you sell?
Yeah. And that was another one that, I'm always sometimes the negative guy on some of these things. I'm thinking, let's not get into doing something else. And Berkeley, he has these visions of going on. And my other son, Creighton, who does our books, he thinks about these too. My son-in-law, who does graphic design for us, he's in Cincinnati. He thinks of stuff. So it started out with just some hats. Now we do hoodies, which I'm amazed at how many people buy hoodies and T-shirts and that type of thing. We have hats and we have toboggans. And then we got into glasses, 16-ounce glass, like a heavy-duty glass with our stuff on it. And somebody told us shot glasses were collectible. So we got bought all these shot glasses. Nobody collects shot glasses anymore. So I have lots of shot glasses. I'm not a drinker. I've got lots of shot glasses.
Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, that's.
But we do. We have a local lady that makes jewelry for Halloween, and we sell her stuff, and she sells out generally for us. She'll sell all her stuff out, and it's specifically Halloween oriented or fall oriented. He'll sell. I'm trying to think of the other things in there.
Do you have your own printers?
We have our own sign printers. Yes, it's pretty expensive to run the sign printer for us. We found so we're probably going to get rid of our sign printer because it is so expensive. Right? Maybe farm that out and get someone else to print. We bought the sign printer primarily for our food business because we were printing the vinyl sidings for our food trailers. But we bought a new system. We bought the wrong kind. We bought an inkjet system. We should have brought a different kind of system.
That's so I'm trying to figure out merch as the show grows.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much maintenance you have to do on these printers if you're not running them constantly.
You have to run constantly. And that's where we were getting in trouble with them. We made stickers and things like that. And we just don't, and the signs for the haunt, we printed all those. We try to just farm it out now because it's more effective. We try to get local companies. We try to do as much local as we can. We have local companies that'll do our printing, our shirts, and that type of thing for us.
So there's a local company called SignArc, and they're starting a business where they print out the DTF film.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can buy the film from them, and then all you need is a heat press.
Yeah.
Then you put it on there. So I think that's the route I'm going to go.
Okay, that may be good. It's not, this thing started out in my basement where they kept costumes and all that, and I finally got them out of my basement, but I still have the print shop in my basement. I want it out of my basement too. But and that may be a good way to go. I haven't looked at any other, there's so many possibilities where you can get stuff, and I love West Virginia products. If I can find a West Virginia vendor that'll do it for us, I do like that. That's why I like the candy apples. We're not doing candy apples because this lady from down here does a fabulous job for them.
Help everybody.
Yeah, the jewelry. I'm not a jewelry maker, and this works well.
Do you know who that is?
I can't think of her name. My wife takes care of getting it purchased. She's in Lewisburg.
It's not Michaela, is it? Pence? Well, it's because she lives. I think she lives in Lewisburg, and she's a silversmith.
Okay, no,
but it may not.
I don't know what her name is.
Gotcha.
She does a really great job with them. We buy some things. We buy ornaments for Christmas trees that are haunted related and that type of stuff. We'll buy those and sell a lot of those.
That's great. Yeah. And like I said, there was other options, but the fees were just so high. You'd end up making like $4 on a shirt.
Yeah.
So
it just wasn't cost effective for us to even look there. We're always looking at ways we can do things. It's like our own beef and process of the USDA inspections, and we can sell our own beef, our own pigs for things. We're always looking for those things from the farm, the hay we use. We also know that we can't do everything. I have this concept of a product right now. One of our guys is a beekeeper, and I want us to market our own honey called Be Scared Honey, and put a bee with scared, Be Scared Honey, and try to sell the honey on the farm to people. I think people like that.
Oh man, you'd sling some honey. Yeah, then you could do chapstick and
that's right. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's like a self-sustainable haunt farm.
Yes,
like it's
and it's what my big thing is agricultural entertainment, agricultural business. That's always been my key. When I was in the legislature, I was agriculture chair. I worked on agriculture issues. And I think it's important for small Appalachian farms to be able to do that.
Dude, we went to this pumpkin patch. It was I can't remember the name of it. It seemed like it was about 2 hours from Beckley. But it was like you're going into a mini Disney World.
Oh, yeah. It's really neat what they've done with those.
Yeah.
There's one down in Princeton area. There's another. There used to be one down in Monroe County. There's another one in Monroe County now that just opened up here a few years ago. And it's kind of fun. They do this one that opened does pumpkins. They do hay rides. And and things. And it's great. We toy with all of that, but there's just so many of us and so many hours. And when I work for the hunt, when I go in, I start on Friday night at 4:00, getting ready to be there, and I get home and cashed out and ready to bed at 2:00, and then up the next morning, and then Saturday nights it's another story. I work Saturday nights, and then I'm up Sunday morning early, and it's exhausting during our.
Oh, no doubt. Well, and plus you've carved out a niche, Have you ever thought about like the pumpkin patch thing, or are you?
I have. We have. One of our big problems are deer and bears, and it came down to it. I just didn't want to have to fight those problems. And where we would plant it, we would actually plant it in our parking lot probably, and I don't want to do that either. We could use the first farm and plant it, but I don't want to separate them out, particularly if I don't have to. Pumpkin patches are great. And most pumpkin patches don't raise all their pumpkins either. They have to buy pumpkins because they can't keep up with demand.
Yes, some of them you'll see the pallets hauling in from Walmart, and then they go set them out in the field. But you got to do what you got. Grit's Farm is the one we went to.
That's a great place. That's down in Buffalo. They actually had one of the first corn mazes in the state. I think
really?
I think Grits was the one. They also Grits is big into hydroponics product, and they have great hydroponic products. So.
Oh yeah, they had. It was, and they built like a little food court.
Yeah,
there's this cow dispenser with the condiments. That was a little weird.
Yeah, they're neat.
Yeah, it was cool, but it was like I'm not really. I don't know about appetizing, but I mean, I love the idea. And this huge bin with like all these kernels that kids would get in and jump around.
And those are great things. We toyed with the idea of taking our corn. My dad, who was, as I said, a John Deere dealer, had made me promise before he died that I wouldn't buy a corn picker because he had pulled too many people out of corn pickers. And he said, please promise me you won't ever buy a corn picker. So I've kept my promise because he said, I know you well enough. When you run machines, you'll get back if it's stuck and try to unstick it and it'll kill you. And he said, just please don't. So we don't pick our corn. We have somebody else do it for us.
Oh, wow. So people will get killed in this thing?
No, on a corn picker, if you use a corn picker, they're a very dangerous machine. If you use them to pick your commercial corn,
right?
They're a very dangerous machine.
I have to look at this thing.
Yeah, and nobody makes them much anymore. But a corn picker, you pull them behind the tractor. The old ones you pull behind the tractor, and as you go through, if it gets stuck, you get out sometimes and try to unstick them. And he's had to. And my dad used to years ago pull people out of them. And
goodness gracious!
But anyway, so I don't have a corn picker, so we have somebody pick a corn. But my concept years ago was to get a license to run a still. And run the corn through the steel and use it to run a generator and let people see how this would all work together and how it'd be sustainable. I just never pursued any more than that. It was too much for me to have to think about.
Do you make your own beer?
No, I'm not a beer drinker. Don't like beer particularly, but I don't. Some of our friends do a good job with it in Greenbrier County. It was, and that's been sold a couple times.
Greenbrier Valley Brewing.
Yes, they do a really good job of what they do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're huge.
When I was in the governor's office, I actually toured a lot of, there's a great moonshine plant in Jackson County. They make their own moonshine there and sell different kinds. And we toyed the idea, could we not in West Virginia develop a moonshine trail with these different little independent producers.
Like the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky.
That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, we need to do that.
Well, I think it would be a big success for us. We'd deal on our heritage, what people think of us. And you might need a nice trail in West Virginia for that.
Yeah. Are you all on the paranormal trail list?
I'm not sure if he is or not. I don't keep up with those.
I haven't looked. But
may not be.
That'd be a perfect addition.
Yeah.
They did like this. It's like a bunch of different locations in West Virginia, and you check in. I mean, this would be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So does one other question about Berkeley? Did he have like a artist background, or who you mentioned someone? It's like the Swiss Family Robinson of haunted houses. You're like, little Billy's a graphic designer.
Right. We I don't know. We just try to pick mates for our family that know how to do things. But Berkeley's strangely, his college degree is in geography. He didn't want to teach. He did geography and he came out and didn't want to teach, and ended up working with my oldest son's father-in-law, who was an electrician. and went to work for him. And Berkeley's a master electrician now. He learned electric work there.
Oh, cool.
And so he's a master electrician. He doesn't want to do electrical work, but he uses that skill to develop everything we do at the haunt. We have electric going everywhere over there, and he knows where to bury the lines.
That's
and how
good to have. That's
it
where you
is.
mess up.
That's right. But so Berkeley's wife, then, who is a nurse anesthetist, she runs our ticket office. So she spends and the funny part, she's been pregnant for 2 years when we've done this. We hope the baby didn't come in the middle of the haunt.
I know.
Usually
right?
came 2 weeks after we closed or a month after we closed. But
You got to keep the priorities straight.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right. So she runs the ticket booth. My wife runs the food booth, the food. She manages all of that, and she takes care of that part. My daughter, who refuses to come up during Halloween because she gets put to work, she's a doctor at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And I'm back up to a funny story about her. She came up one time to visit when we were running food trailers, and we were at the Alderson 4th of July, and they needed a cotton candy trailer. So I just rigged up a cotton candy trailer and took it in. Well, I told her, you just go in and work it, and I'll be in and help you here when I get back into town. Well, she started working. I never got back to town, and she didn't know how to make cotton candy. She said people were coming up and buying cotton candy.
she's like, I don't know.
She was crying almost when I got there. Her husband was working a pizza trailer across from her. He wouldn't look at her because he knew he'd be in trouble. But she told me she's never coming back when I'm running something. So she doesn't come back up very often when running these things. But her husband is a graphic design artist. That's what his degree was in. And he does a lot of that design work for us in Cincinnati and sends it to us. And then my oldest son is an accountant. And he works at the Greenbrier in accounting. So he takes care of accounting at he's kind of our financial officer. And then he also works with our actors as their security, their placement. He places them, secures, makes sure they have water during the night and that kind of stuff. He does all that.
Do you have casting calls?
Yes, we do. But by casting call, you mean time there and where they're going to be.
Do you try people out?
Oh, yes.
Make sure they can.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
We're happy to get any warm soul that wants to work, but they have to go through training. So we have 2 particular actor schools that we run in August or September. We'll do actor schools, and before they can work, they have to come through the actor school. And we tell them what the expectations are. And we don't fire anybody for not doing the job, but we don't hire back sometimes people if they haven't really performed for us. Most people have the idea that this is going to be a fun night of just jumping out and scaring people. No, it's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have young people that have never worked. And after the first 2 weekends, it starts to get a little cold. They don't know if they can do it anymore. They're just so exhausted. But we have other kids that have never worked, and this is their first job, and they've continued. And that makes us feel good. They've learned how to work. They go on. We've had couples meet there and get married that work there together. In fact, Berkeley and his wife worked there together. Berkeley's mother-in-law came when she was a teacher and worked volunteering one time and introduced her daughter to my son, and they started dating. They got married.
They can have some kids. We can have a sweatshop. Let's go.
They've got 2 little ones who, my grandkids, the oldest one just turned 10, and they like to come over when they don't have to do anything.
Sure.
I have one grandchild that it terrifies him. When the monster parade, he can handle about anything. He won't go in the haunt, but when the monster parade starts, he can handle that. But this year, he hid under a table, I think, so it was scared him. I have 3 other grandchildren, and they're all too little to know what's going on with it. So
that brings up a good question. So when did you decide, how age appropriate are we going to be?
Yeah, and that's a great question. We like to leave it up to parents. If they ask us, we'll tell them, I wouldn't take my child in this. Now, we're very, very conscious of what we need to be responsible wise. We have a gatekeeper we call him Apple's what we call him, but he's the gatekeeper, and he watches characters when they come in. If they're inebriated, he'll pull them out, that type of thing. But he's had cases. We had a mother one time come, and she had a 5-year-old. She bought the tickets, and she brought the 5-year-old to the gate, and he was laying on the ground screaming. He wasn't going, and she smacked him and said, "You're going in," because I bought the ticket. He made them both leave. He said, "We don't want you here."
Oh my!
We don't want that kind of.
Sure, yeah, that's sad.
So we try to leave it up to parents, and most parents are pretty good at it. We're not so gruesome that it's going to scar a kid, and they'll know. And then I have taken groups through before. We've had groups come that were afraid, or they might have somebody in their family that didn't want to go. And I'd tell them, if you want to walk with me, that's when I'm not doing something else. I said, I'll take you through, and we'll go around where the actors work and that type, and I'll show you how it works, and we'll go through parts of it. And I've done that several times with people. And that's been good for those kids. You'll have a 6-year-old that loves it. You'll have a 13-year-old that can't do it. So we try to leave it up to families to make those decisions. We see a lot of things that are frustrating. We've had a car one time come, and the security in the parking lot called me and said, "We've got children in a car out here," and no parent. The parent had gone in and left kids in the car. And we stayed with the car the whole time. Security did, just to make sure they were safe.
Sure.
So we see some of that type of thing. We don't tolerate it well.
Well, let's see. The only job I dealt with the public was McDonald's and Walmart. So you see the best and worst of people.
You do.
I would imagine.
Yeah, you see some great folks.
Sure.
We had a group last year. They waited intentionally till the end of the one night, and that's frustrating. You're trying to. I'm paying actors by the hour. I want them out of here at a certain time, and they waited, and they were the last group to go in, and I was frustrated over that. But they'd waited some friends, and they all went at one time, and usually at the end of the night the actors are tired, but the actors, I guess, worked them. And they come out, and they were a blast. They came out, and they were thanking everybody. And at the end of the night, we feed all of our actors at the food stand. So the last group comes in, all the actors start coming out to get food. And they were staying around thanking the actors for what they did, and got on the bus, the hayride, to ride back out to the parking lot, and told me, we come every year. We're the last group through the nights we come, and this is just such joy for us. Well, that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It makes you feel real good. I was frustrated at the beginning with it, but it makes you feel good. These people knew what they were doing. They enjoyed themselves. And then you have others that come, they don't want to wait, and they're mad. I had somebody threaten to sue me one time because they had to wait in line. And I'm thinking,
good luck.
The funny thing about my wife, who runs the food, she's a nurse, but if somebody has a complaint, sometimes they'll say, "Go talk to Cindy." That's my wife's name. And Cindy has a way of dealing with the complaints. They'll come up and they'll fuss about this. They'll say, "Would you like a corn dog?" She just gives them a corn dog. And sometimes they're happy just to get a corn dog.
That's a good tactic.
So,
who's not happy when they get a corn dog?
That's right.
That's good. So those little things, when did problems start multiplying over the years, or was it like certain issues would arise, like, "Oh, well, we didn't get enough porta potties this year," or different things like that, and you would adjust the following year?
You do. Sometimes you have to adjust in the middle of the year, but porta potties is the big example of that. I don't know if you can never have enough, but that's always an adjustment. We try to keep those. Trash is an issue. We're always trying to make sure that the grounds stay clean. And we have one guy that works in the food. He enjoys it at about 9:00 going out of the food stand. He picks up all the trash on the ground and bags it up and cleans out, which is nice to have somebody who wants to do that. But you have to learn to adapt, and you figure them out. You figure out our paths. That's why we blocked off when we did the corn maze. We started blocking off paths because we realized actors would get punched when people got frustrated, or people couldn't get out. And then they'd start tearing down corn and things. So we learned how to make paths that work so people continue, make them wide enough. Mud's a problem. How do we deal with the mud?
Yeah. So how do you deal with the mud? People stomping in the ground.
Yeah, that's the hardest on some of the crew, because they come out on Saturday mornings, usually after a muddy Friday night, and take some of my round bales of hay and have to spread them on the whole haunt. Sometimes the tree trimming people leave us piles of the debris that they chip from trees, and we'll load those into buggies and take them into the corn and spread them by shovel. And that's some of how we do. Don't like to put the wood in if I don't have to. I'd rather use the hay because it puts more acidic thing in my corn. So
that makes sense. And October usually is somewhat rain-free in West Virginia.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
But does weather ever affect operations?
Yes. We didn't open the first weekend this year because Hurricane Helene. And then it always affects. We watch weather nonstop. When do you call it? And the problem with calling it because of rain, we try to, for the safety of our actors safety is very important, and safety of the clients. We will call if it gets too bad rain-wise. We won't go if lightning, but rain particularly we have to watch. And the problem with calling it is when somebody drives from Asheville, North Carolina up here and it gets called, they're not happy. And I can understand that, but I also can't risk hurting someone. And we've never had any accidents really. Oh, we've had cuts or bruises and gashes.
People fall.
One person got a tooth knocked out one time, but it was their own fault. They turned around to run and hit a tree.
Oh, nice.
But as a general rule, we don't have many accidents because we are very, very conscious of safety. We try to do everything to make it safe.
That's great. So, the season opens. What's it like for you to witness all these vehicles just arriving from nowhere to your farm that you was like, hey, we got this cool idea?
I wonder what's wrong with me. That's why I like my quiet farm. John Denver's old song, sometimes this farm seems like a long lost friend. That's how my farm is to me. I like my friend. So it is, it's hard for me to adjust all those folks coming in. Fortunately, now they park at the Hans farm, which is a mile from my house. So I have to deal with it. But, my neighbors are the ones that have to deal with it. They have to deal with traffic on the road. We live out in the middle of nowhere. They don't see a car pass that often. And suddenly, 500 cars start coming out the road. They've enjoyed it. They laugh with it. I had one complaint from a neighbor last year, because the music, and I had intentionally turned the music a different way so it wouldn't be blasting. And he complained because they couldn't hear the music on the porch anymore. He said, we used to like sit out on the porch and listen to music, and now you've turned it down. We can't hear the music. Can you turn that thing back up? So that was a pretty good complaint. I can handle that. So
that's great. How many neighbors do you have?
Around the haunt, there may be 2 houses.
Okay.
And then the big one is Avagen has a big turkey farm, which they had bought off part of our farm originally. And they're out behind us. So I always am aware of the fact that we don't want to disturb the turkeys. So we try to keep things pointed toward the woods and away from the turkeys. I like to do fireworks, but that would probably kill the turkeys. So we won't do fireworks. Yeah.
Well, so they harvest turkeys and sell them? Or
Avagen is, and that's something for you to look at in Appalachia sometime. Avagen is one of the world's largest producer of turkey. They are the largest producer. I think they do 70% of the world's turkey market.
Wow.
But they do it in eggs. They prefer breeder stock. That's what they raise, is breeder stock. And countries all over the world come and buy turkeys from Avagen, buy the eggs because of the breeder stock that Avagen operates. They have several farms in Greenbrier, Monroe County.
I didn't even realize that.
Most people don't. They're very biosecure. Avian influenza is a big issue for them. They have to make sure they protect because they can't vaccinate their birds, because they can't sell in Europe and Japan if they vaccinate birds, but they sell birds all over the world. They're a German company, but they sell birds all over the world, and large West Virginia employer.
Interesting. Well, so I got the website up here. Let's I'll walk through each one of these things, and then we'll kind of discuss each. So we got the dark midway, which says upon arrival at the farm, enjoy our dark midway while you wait.
And those are the games and the food and the bonfire. We always have a bonfire, except, I thought we weren't going to get it this year because of the drought, but fortunately it rained with Helene. We could do it. And there's a fence that surrounds most of the haunt, so you're inside the fence area with the dark midway. And he's calling it the Hag's Hut. I call it the Witch's Hut.
Yeah, the Hag's Hunt says
Yeah.
nestled in the center of a bog, Baba Yaga's eerie residence will surely bring chills down your spine.
We have designed a fog system that goes in under the water and comes up out of the water. So there's fog throughout that whole bog area, and you sit in there. The fun time to be at the Hag's Hut is in June, July, and August because no one's there, but all the birds and the frogs and night sounds. It's creepy to be out there. Those frogs croaking and the bugs buzzing. It's a creepy thing to walk through that thing at night. So.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you ever just walk through it by yourself?
I do. I check the farm almost every day. Now, I don't walk through the corn off because of the bears, but I do. In fact, the funny thing, the Hag's Hut this year, Berkeley accused me of running over the drain for the pond because the pond went down. And I said, I haven't been around that. Come find out, I found bear tracks. The bear got in and turned the release on the pond and drained the pond.
Wow. So just black bears running around?
Yeah, a lot of black bears.
Nice.
There's the manor house.
The Miller Manor and Bloodshed.
Yeah. The manor house is, the picture you see there is the front of the manor house. It's made out of wood. Actually, that came from Mulligan lumber, that wood, because we weren't milling our own. Has a clock on it, and the clock runs backwards during the night. And music plays out of the hunt, and the lights and things. There's corn in front of it. So,
oh, that's awesome. And we have the infected crop and demented forest.
Yeah, and that's the corn, and that's the forest, that's where you'll find all kinds of creatures and critters and
up to 70.
Yeah, 70, at least 70 or more. I always tell them when I'm DJing that the one thing we don't have in the corn are anybody dressed as a bear. If you run into somebody dressed as a bear, they're not one of ours. And the key is to back away very slowly or run faster than the people with you. So
yeah, I always heard run downhill sideways from a bear.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
And they just run straight down. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it works. Never want to test it.
No, I'm not one who wants to test it.
Yeah. So season starts in October, or
it'll be the end of September. It'll start this year, right? The last weekend of September.
Awesome. So y'all stay tuned for updates. Where can people contact you? I know we have millersnightmare.com.
Yep.
You're on Facebook.
We are. We're Facebook. We have a website, millersnightmare.com, Facebook, TikTok. I don't do all of those things. Instagram, I think you have an Instagram account there and all that. They do all of those. Or they can simply
your little cousin Tammy runs the Instagram, right? Or something.
It's about like that. I have one cousin that comes and takes pictures for us. I have one cousin in the graphic, or he does all of our video work.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, with video. Do you have like cameras up or?
We do not. We have security cameras for our own. We keep security cameras for our own use, to watch the property, know who's there. But we don't have cameras inside. We've talked about doing that and playing that back for folks who'd like to see or getting pictures where they can see certain scares. We just haven't gotten that far. It's on the list someday to get done, but I don't know when that'll get done.
Sure. Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us. Everyone, please be sure to check out Miller's Nightmare Haunted Farm in Lewisburg. I guarantee I'm going to be there this year. I hope to do like a point of view walkthrough.
We'd love you to do that. If you want to do your podcast, we'll set you up a spot there. You can overlook the whole thing.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. We'll
put you in the new DJ booth.
Yeah. Oh, I can turn the ones and twos now. Yeah, for sure. That would be awesome. Well, thank you, Ron.
All right. Thank you.
Meeting you. Everyone else, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to Creepalachia on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast on Apple or Spotify, be sure to leave a review. That will help the show get found. And also, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all the good things. And above all else, never forget, always remember, long live Appalachia.